What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I've been looking forward to this all week. What went down behind the scenes of the Real Madrid election is honestly one of the most interesting business stories in football this year. Let's get into it. Sunday night in Madrid, a 79-year-old construction billionaire just landed the biggest win of his career. By Monday morning, Mourinho had a contract. A 150 million euro transfer was already being lined up. A centre-back free agent from Liverpool was signed, and somewhere in Nottingham, a 23-year-old midfielder just became the priciest unsigned player in English football. All of this happened in just 48 hours. But nothing happened the way the headlines told it. Let me show you what was really happening behind the curtain. Here's the first thing you really need to know about the Real Madrid election. Florentino Perez got 65% of the vote, Riquelme took home 35, big numbers. But this detail, it changes everything. Reports say Mourinho's 3-year contract had already been signed nearly 3 weeks before a single member even voted. Read that again. The contract was in place before the election began, so 100,000 members walked into the voting booths on Sunday, thinking they were deciding their club's direction, but the biggest commercial decision of the campaign had already been set behind closed doors 3 weeks earlier. That's not football governance, that's corporate strategy, dressed up like an election. Think about the business impact. Just Mourinho's brand shirt sales, global broadcast draw, sponsor excitement is worth hundreds of millions in projected revenue. You don't wait to announce that till after the election. You secure it first. And honestly, here's what I think. The members didn't pick the direction. They rubber stamped it. There's a real difference between those two. And in business, that difference is worth hundreds of millions of euros. Sources say before the election, Perez went on TV and promised the biggest transfer in Real Madrid history, at least 150 million euros. Not from the Premier League, not Haaland, Kane, Olise, Doku, a full-blown Galactico. A Spanish journalist dropped Vitinha from PSG as the possible name, but here's the question nobody asked. Was this a real transfer hint, or the most expensive election ad football's ever seen? When Perez was first elected in 2000, he stuck by his promise and signed Barcelona's captain Luis Figo straight from their rivals. He knows exactly how much a marquee name promise sways voters. Then Bayern did something unprecedented. Bayern president Herbert Hainer publicly told Perez not to bother. Michael Olise isn't for sale. Even if 150 million euros comes in, think business. Bayern's president personally dismissed a bid that hadn't even come in yet. That's not negotiation, that's brand protection. What Bayern really meant, this asset is worth more to us than your 150 million euros. And as soon as they said it, Olise's commercial value jumped, without any talks. Classic scarcity marketing. Say something's not for sale, everyone wants it more. Bayern didn't just protect Olise, they raised his price. Subscribe to Qrazzles? This is the kind of behind-the-scenes move nobody else explains. While the world focused on that 150 million euro wildcard, something just as important was happening quietly on the side. Ibrahima Konate signed a 4-year deal at Real Madrid, on a free from Liverpool. Free. One of Europe's top centre-backs, Liverpool let him walk for nothing. Real Madrid didn't pay a cent in transfer fees. Financially, think about that. Liverpool poured money into his development, paid his wages for years, boosted his value with Champions League exposure, and then let his contract expire, losing an asset that cost them millions. Real Madrid got an elite defender, fully developed, and only had to cover his salary. That's not a transfer win. That's a failure in contract management, and it just cost Liverpool tens of millions. Liverpool didn't lose Konate during the transfer window. They lost him at the contract renewal table 18 months back. The most expensive blunders in football never make headlines. They just slip away quietly. Now, this is the story that really got my attention this week. Manchester City want Elliott Anderson from Nottingham Forest. They put in an opening offer. Forest shot it down immediately. They want over £100 million, pegging their demand on Declan Rice's £105 million move to Arsenal. Here's what should make every fan pause. Anderson joined Forest from Newcastle in 2024 for £35 million. 1 season later, same player, Forest won 3 times as much, and they justify it by pointing at a completely different player, different club, and transfer. That's modern football pricing. Club A overspends, Club B uses that number as a baseline for their own deals. Prices don't rise because players get better. They rise because clubs recycle each other's expensive mistakes as new market standards. If City won't meet the price for Anderson, their next target is Sandro Tonali from Newcastle. But Arsenal are circling Tonali too. One failed deal. Suddenly 2 teams target the same backup. Tonali's price just surged, even before a single bid is in. That's the domino nobody talks about. And here's something that should make every finance chief sweat. Reports say England boss Thomas Tuchel openly stated that if a player wants to complete a transfer during the World Cup, it's fine. Just stay focused on the team. That one line just opened up a transfer market inside a major tournament, and the player poised to make the biggest move might be Morgan Rogers. Rogers racked up 14 goals and 11 assists for Aston Villa this season. Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, and PSG are all interested. Villa want more than the £100 million Man City paid for Jack Grealish. Rogers has 5 years left on his contract. Villa bought him from Middlesbrough for £15 million in 2024. Now they're asking for over £100 million, and they're backing the price with Jack Grealish's fee from a different club 5 years ago for someone else entirely. The Grealish benchmark. the Rice benchmark, the Anderson benchmark. Different players, different clubs, same recycled price tags. My own take? Football clubs aren't pricing on value anymore. They're just stacking up the latest record overpayment by another club, then using that as justification. And it keeps happening because clubs keep paying. One more before I wrap up, and it might have a small headline now, but not for long. Sources say Arsenal are pushing ahead to sign Jeremy Monga, a 16-year-old from Leicester City. Arsenal are leading every other English club for him. Arsenal genuinely believe they'll land this signing. They've just won the Premier League, Champions League is locked in. Morgan Rogers, Tonali, senior squad business. They could be focused on all that, but instead they're racing to sign a 16-year-old before the transfer window even opens. Why? Because getting future commercial assets early, before the market realizes their value, is as smart as it gets in football finance. Right now, Monga costs next to nothing. In 4 years, he could be worth 50 million. Arsenal aren't just building a squad, they're building an investment portfolio. Subscribe to Qrazzles if this kind of analysis changes the way you see football. So, here's what sources really told us about football this week. An election was decided before voting even began. A 150 million euro bid was turned down before anyone made an offer. A world-class defender left Liverpool for nothing. A 35 million pound player's price tag hit 100 million pounds by using someone else's transfer as the benchmark. A World Cup is now another transfer market, and a 16-year-old from Leicester is already being chased by the English champions before his career even starts. Fans watch the scores, boardrooms watch the contracts, and as always, it was the contract that told the real story. People watch the game, I read the contracts.